We are back on the Anthony on Air podcast. On this episode, the cause of death for Brian Laundrie finally revealed. Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were once blessed by the Pope. Prince Andrew's whatevers is going to be excluded from the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. A Thomas Jefferson statue has been removed from New York City. Michael Cohen says Donald Trump will not run again. That topic was an accident. Fox contributors resign. The Grammy nominees were announced today. We got to talk Dollar Tree. And of course, this is the last show before Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Frankie C.
Well, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
On that we do a Tuesday show, special kind of circumstances with the cause of death for Brian Laundrie being revealed just moments ago. This earlier today, we got the cause of death. This came from the Laundrie family attorney, who's been our, I guess, main point of contact when finding out some information. But as you can see, the District 12 medical examiner we have up on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and if you are, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell, hit the share button, hit everything. Hit everything you can.
Hit everything. One-stop shop.
Well, yeah. It'd be great if there was one button for everything, but I guess you don't have to keep subscribing.
Yeah, you don't have to do everything, I guess.
The District 12 medical examiner released their findings from earlier today regarding the death of Brian Laundrie. And they concluded that basically because of the gunshot wound to his head, it was ruled a suicide.
Yeah, that middle area there underneath the bullet points is basically, that's the main takeaway. The cause of death has been determined to be a gunshot wound to the head. The manner of death has been determined to be suicide. So that's that. I mean, the only thing it doesn't account for is where the gun is, but I'm sure with the high waters that were there, it's, I don't know. Do they sink? Do guns? They don't float. I don't think. I guess they would sink. Maybe it's under the mud. Who knows?
Yeah. It's funny that you said that because there has not been really much comment on what was around, what the cops have.
Yeah.
Remember, they were kind of like no commenting the questions about a weapon and near his body. So
right. I mean, if it's the only thing I could think of is he shot himself, the gun sank, and his body after a while floated away from the gun, because the gun didn't float away. Probably, I wouldn't imagine.
Well, yeah, I mean, and here's the other thing. So let's go through a couple of these other notes here that's come out from the family attorney. It was obviously skeletal remains that were found, the backpack, other personal items, that dry bag we've talked about a bunch of times, right? They found that. Obviously, he wasn't fully intact.
No.
And they needed to use the dental records to identify him. Then the medical examiner did the autopsy. Then, remember, his remains were sent to a forensic anthropologist.
That's right.
The forensic anthropologist analyzed the human remains, conducted DNA tests, and they look for any signs of weapon evidence to help determine how a person died. And that's basically how they came to that conclusion. So I wonder, to your point about a gun, if he did kill himself and then he was eaten by God knows what, his remains could have been dragged around. I mean, that gun could still be in that area if the authorities haven't already found it and they're just not commenting on it.
It could be half a mile away. I mean, it could, and then some animal could have dragged them somewhere, or the water. They couldn't search that area because the flood waters were too high. So he could have floated away down, who knows?
Yeah, and I believe it was flooded because of rain, not like it was flooded because of
tides or anything.
Yeah, so I wonder how much a weapon like that could move.
Yeah, I think the body has more of a chance of moving farther than the weapon.
Yeah, I would say so.
The weapon's going to drop like a stone to the bottom, I would imagine. barring any weird circumstance. But I feel like the body could float. Usually, after a while, I think they float, or at least parts, whatever was left, could have floated away. I'm sure they didn't find all of them.
Right.
Depending on where it happened and where he wound up. So, yeah, I mean that's that. I wonder if, because you said they found the notebook. I wonder if there's anything in there. They haven't revealed any of that.
Yeah, that's gonna be the next big thing we look for is what happens there. And it could be. I mean, I don't know. How long? Obviously, that they found him and everything, but I don't know how much longer they're gonna wait until they close this case up because.
Yeah, I mean they have to see. I mean, it's all you have to prove what happened to Gabby. They know how Gabby died. They don't know who could have done it. Obviously, all signs are pointing to Brian Laundrie, but it still has to be proven, I guess. I mean, if that would wrap up the case, I think that's one of the bigger unanswered questions, if not the biggest unanswered questions, which 99% of people would say it's pretty much answered, and I would say it too. But again, it has to be proven that he did it, which I'm sure he did.
Well, here's another question: how did he get the gun?
Yeah, where'd the gun come from? He could have gotten a gun. I mean, he's 22. He's in Florida. The gun's everywhere. He could probably just go to any place and grab one.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's records, right? Yeah, you have to have a record of that. I mean,
I think if you buy it at a gun show, I don't know what kind of records they keep.
that's true. There's a lot of gun show loopholes, right?
Yeah.
If you buy it from like a Walmart or something, they.
Yeah, but if you go to like a gun show, you just buy them at a tent or a table. I don't know how much they're doing with it by way of records or anything. I don't know though.
I would love to know from the people in the comments because if we've learned anything in the last week or so,
oh, you can't say anything without knowing.
We know
100%. All the details, every single thing. You have to know every single thing about the topic before you can open your mouth about it. So, lesson learned.
Not gun experts on this show currently. Yeah, but I want to know, where did he get the gun? Where's the gun now? What kind of a gun?
Yeah, I mean, my guess, I would imagine he had it with him the whole time, like even on the trips with Gabby, because they're traveling through God knows where. But then you're carrying a gun across state lines all over the place. That might not be smart, but I don't know. Maybe when he went home, he grabbed it from his room or wherever. Is someone in the house's gun? Who knows? Could come from anywhere.
Right, and it wasn't like he wasn't an outdoorsy person. It could have been a gun that they had for years.
Hunting,
but but here's the other thing too, though. Like, I mean, you would think that information would be funneled to authorities from the family if they were like, "Oh, by the way, one of the guns in our house is missing," or "He's armed." I mean, that's kind of an important thing to know when you're searching for somebody, whether or not they're holding or have the ability to acquire a gun.
Yeah, that's a good question. If they if a gun's missing from the house, the authorities would have known and said, "Hey, if anybody runs into this kid, he's got a gun."
Because I mean, you would probably, and I mean, even from a public safety standpoint, the police would be saying he's armed.
Yeah,
you kind of have to put that out there.
I would think, yeah.
You can't just have somebody missing and be like,
unless he had it, it was his, and you really didn't tell anybody he had it.
I wonder what happened. I mean, so what happens? He comes home, he's there a couple days, they do that trip, then he just takes off and leaves and then just kills himself?
Well, I would imagine I don't think he made that decision right away because he lawyered up. He got together with the lawyer and the parents, and then I think he was like, "There's no way out of this," and that's when he took off and it was like, he probably was tracking all the developments of people or maybe he saw stuff that there was a manhunt and everybody was after him, kind of thing. I don't know what causes him to do that.
The guilt of strangling her just became too much for him.
That's probably that could be enough. That could have done it right there. When you do that, I guess that's the guilt probably.
If you think about it, I've never strangled anybody to death. I'm going to assume that you haven't.
I haven't either. Good assumption.
Knowing you as long as I know you. Um, I would imagine that for a little while, you can probably just run off of shock or adrenaline or, denial or whatever. You know what I mean? Like fight or flight thing, kind of be on the run or like me rushing home. Like because if you think about it, from the time, what was it, September 11th, she was reported
Right.
missing.
I think so. Around there.
I mean, you're looking at like this could have occurred at any time. He went home and drove there. Drove so it's kind of a strange thing to
Yeah.
wonder about. Like, why then, and what happened? Maybe the fact that his parents wouldn't help him, or maybe they confronted him and said, you got to go, you have to confess or whatever, and he tears off. Like, there's so many unanswered questions here.
Yeah. When the full timeline of all this comes out, it's going to be. There's a lot of. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of holes in this thing. When. Why did he take off? What did he tell his parents? How much did the parents know? What did they know he was going and never coming back? Did they know he was on the run? Like did they know that the last time they saw him leave the house that he was going and he was on the run, or did they think he was going somewhere and coming right back or whatever?
Yeah.
Because they got a lawyer. Maybe the parents called the lawyer. Maybe he didn't even want the lawyer. Maybe he was just, I'm out. He just checked out right away.
I also find it fascinating too that they can determine that it's suicide, because if you look at the press release from the medical examiner's office, it says scene response by medical examiner personnel, complete examination of the recovered skeletal remains, consultation with forensic odontologist, including dental comparison for identification, consultation with forensic anthropologist, including skeletal reconstruction, confirmation of the identity of the remains by both dental comparison and DNA analysis. But the reconstruction is interesting too, because how do you really know that it was suicide? Like, I would gather like the rate at which the bullet or if it's here or wherever it is, I get like angles can kind of tell you that.
Angles plus how close the barrel. They could tell how close the barrel was to. There's residue and all that stuff.
Well, and so here's my question: like, if somebody just walked up to him and boom, that was
Right.
it.
They could also tell, like, if you, I think I'm going off of TV shows and movies, but they could also, I think, tell, like, if maybe they had some of his hand, they could tell if there's
Oh, if
gun
he
residue
fired
on
the
the
gun,
hand, if he fired it. We don't know how much of him
right?
they have.
That's what I'm curious to know. Like, do they have the hand? Do they have the weapon? Is it like, if it's his gun? Okay,
Yeah, maybe they have the weapon. We don't know.
if it's not his gun or they don't know where the weapon is, what are the odds that somebody just found this fucker and
It just took him out.
got him
That's
up
possible.
close?
I guess that's possible. But if they ruled it a suicide, I'm sure they've got more than they're telling us. There's no way they're like, we found his teeth and that's it. Now it's a suicide. I'm sure they have skull. Maybe they have his upper. Who knows? And I'm sure it's not just a skeleton. I'm sure there's, not to be indelicate, but I'm sure there's meat left, skin maybe that, you know, I don't know, which I don't get why they can't do DNA if there's any skin left. Wouldn't that be? I don't understand that. Again, I'm not meant to understand that. I'm not in that field. But if there's any type of skin or even bone, why couldn't they? Why can't they do DNA identification?
I
It's not
trying to.
just blood. Any tissue, right, would be DNA.
Yeah, but I mean, who knows? I mean, he could have been laying out there for 3 weeks. I mean, he could have been picked to the. Well, no,
Yeah.
they said they did some DNA analysis, so there was
Oh,
something.
they did. All
Yeah.
right. But I thought dental records. I guess that's the quickest way to, I don't know.
By the way, this just in, I checked with Janine. Still doesn't think this is Brian Laundrie. Still on the conspiracy theory side.
I mean, or a new conspiracy theory is he didn't kill himself, and someone just came up to him, and that was it. Yeah, there you go. That's about right.
Very skeptical. I'm wondering, not quite sure. People tell me it could possibly not be Brian
Excuse me.
Laundrie.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me.
I don't know if people. Sometimes I put up. Sometimes I put up Trump's face because I have to turn the camera off for some adjustments. I don't know if people get that. It's not intentional to show Trump. It's.
See, I didn't know that.
Well, I told you that the other day.
No, you said that you mute the mic and cough and sneeze and shit, but
Yeah, well, I was under the weather the other day, so I had to I had to turn off
Now
the camera a bunch of times.
now you're over the weather.
I'm over the hills.
Okay.
So this is it's funny. My wife texted me.
My wife. Sorry.
My wife. You texted me. She texted me 3 seconds later, and she was like, "They found him. He killed himself. He definitely did it." Like that was her first reaction, which I found interesting. Of like, this is total confirmation. Like there's no like, and not that we had a doubt, but I'm just saying there's always that little slight chance. But
Yeah, if he didn't do it, if he was innocent of Gabby's murder, one, he probably wouldn't have run.
Right.
Two, he probably wouldn't have killed himself.
Right.
You don't know, but those are pretty good signs.
Does this make you feel any worse for his parents?
For Brian's parents?
Yeah.
I mean, they lost their son. I mean,
I do. I don't care if people give me shit. I feel
they didn't
like
have,
they didn't ask for any of this. They got thrown into this. Like it's like that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. I
your
mean,
son comes home and this is what's happened, and you have to now you didn't do anything. They didn't do anything really.
I mean,
Unless they helped him. But who the hell knows what they did?
For a time, we didn't really know. And not to say that I'm letting them off the hook for that week or two or whatever where they wouldn't communicate with anybody, including Gabby's family. That was awful.
Yeah.
But I always try to put myself in people's shoes, and that's a really, really tough thing to be thrown right into.
And not to defend anybody who's a scumbag, but if your lawyers are telling you don't say anything to anybody,
yeah,
most people will do what the lawyers tell them to do in this situation.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they didn't kill Gabby. Did they help Brian get away? I don't know. We really don't know.
Yeah. I'm not saying that they're innocent.
No,
I'm just saying I feel for them.
Yeah, I mean,
I obviously feel for her family way more.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. That's a given. Gabby's family, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it's easy for either family.
I wonder why people stay in abusive relationships.
Well, that's a whole.
I mean,
a whole other topic.
There's so many fucking people out there.
I know, but people, they get drawn in, and they find it hard to leave, and then it's like, oh, I'm sorry, and they get pulled into stuff like that. There are people, I'm sure, that if someone was abusive can go see ya, and that's it. But a lot of people, you know what it is. I think I'm not going to assume anybody's, but I think a lot of it might be that a woman or whoever is being abused feels like the person who abuses them makes them feel less than significant. So they're not, they feel, what's the word? Just not really wanted or,
right. That's what I'm here to say. I'm here to say, leave. You'll find somebody.
If you're being abused, there's no reason to stay.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, at some point, you would hope that it breaks through to those people that it's like, there's 6 trillion people on this planet. Like, you're going to find, somebody's going to treat you well.
Billion, but yeah.
What did I say, trillion?
Trillion, yeah.
I'm 6 billion. Well, there might be. I don't know if we've counted everybody.
Did we?
I feel like there's a lot of people hiding, but.
Could be. But I think it's more than just physical. It's also, there's mental in there too. If someone's being physically abused, I'm sure they're not being emotionally I'm sure there's emotional abuse too. Like the
Right. And like there's bad situations where, kids are involved or there's financial
yeah,
whatever. But when you look at these two, I mean, they're both first of all super young. Both of them could easily go back to mom and dad. You know what I mean? So it's like
oh, it's terrible. You all right?
fruit fly.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I don't know. I feel it feels like this should have been a Splitsville kind of situation easily a little bit more earlier, and that wasn't the case. Like beautiful, like she's beautiful, So it's not like it's a looks issue, I mean, I can't.
I think there's a lot of like their self-esteem gets knocked down. The abuser, I'm sure,
Yeah,
doesn't treat them right emotionally either. So they're probably knocking down their self-esteem so that they don't want to leave, and they'll figuring it's me or nobody kind of thing.
and then you add in like her OCD, so maybe she feels like, oh, I got OCD and whatever, and nobody's gonna
Believe
love
me, because
me.
if it was as easy as just buy, once
Yeah,
one thing happens, it would be goodbye. But
yeah.
it's not that easy all the time for a lot
It's
of
not.
people.
It's and I'm not meant to be glib. I just
No.
I mean to be like, I get it's not easy.
Yeah.
You got to do it anyway. You got to power through that.
Oh
shit.
yeah. If anybody watching this or listening,
Yeah.
you're with someone who's abusing you,
You find
just
somebody.
go, man. Just
Find
go.
somebody else. Yeah.
I know it's easier said than done, but it takes takes some strength, but you do it. You'll be better in the long run.
I mean, if we found people that will tolerate us, you'll definitely find somebody.
That's for shit sure.
It's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
Bonus Tuesday show brought to you by our good pals over at Jumpstart Coffee Company. Black Friday is almost upon us. Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday. For the love of Pete, plenty of chances to get a gift. You got the holiday season coming up, Hanukkah.
Yes.
You got the Hanukkah. You got the Christmas, the Kwanzaa.
Right.
Is there another one in there? Diwali already passed. I know that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Chinese New Year. You know what makes a great Chinese New Year gift?
Is that coming up, or is that like?
Well, eventually, they're all coming up.
I feel like that's a few months into the beginning of the year. I'm not
but
sure.
it's coming up. Before you know
it's
it,
always
it'll be
coming
here.
up.
Yeah, 4th of July. Like it's not too early to.
Nice cup of coffee on the 4th of July.
Who doesn't like a coffee? An American-made coffee that supports the troops on a 4th of July.
Iced. Throw some ice in there.
Yeah.
Nice for the summer.
You got MLK Day. Not enough people buy gifts for MLK Day, and they really should. That should be a gift exchanging sort of a holiday.
It's not a super, seller at the Hallmark stand.
I wish it was. I wish somebody would give me a fucking happy MLK Day card. That'd be lovely.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
President's Day. Groundhog Day.
Multiple. Anyway, here's the thing. Holidays are coming up, and I want to also put this out there too. For those that are celebrating a birthday around this time that always get gypped, this would be a lovely gift for those people as well.
Birthday.
Cool.
Yeah.
Jumpstart Coffee Company. You can save 15% right now when you use the link in the description for this episode, or click the banner on the homepage of AnthonyOnAir.com. Plop that promo code in there, AOA15, and you will save 15%. Doesn't matter to Hero Soap, to Jumpstart Coffee Company, because 50% of their profits, we're still selling some Hero. People are still clicking on all episodes, buying their Hero Soap, which makes me happy.
Another fine product.
Yeah. But the Jumpstart Coffee doesn't care. 50% of their profits still go to the Navy SEAL Foundation. Great coffee, great cause. Taste and flavor is amazing. They've just re-upped with us. I want to thank them. And again, I can't say this enough. Office grab bags, family, your cousin Morty, whatever it is, you got to throw that $20 gift around. A couple bags of Jumpstart Coffee Company is going to be great for that.
Cousin Morty especially.
Especially for cousin Morty. He loves that shit.
He does.
Jumpstart Coffee Company. Happy Thanksgiving and holidays to them. Grab some right now by buying a bag or 2 or 7. You are supporting this podcast, so thank you guys so much for that.
And you're supporting the, what's it called? Navy SEAL Foundation.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were blessed by the Pope at one point. This is nuts.
Yeah.
Link in the description for this one. We can't flash the we can't even show the picture because they put the sun on. Like, this picture is so like unbelievable. They put their watermark like all over it.
Boy.
You know what I mean? So if you want to see the photo, click the link in the description. of this episode,
Like
and
they got a personal one-on-one blessing. Like
yeah, yeah.
it wasn't like in a crowd of people.
Well, I don't know what it was, but it just again kind of goes to show the influence of Epstein and how he was able to kind of get wherever he needed to go and be around whatever influence. I mean, the Pope, for the
Which
love of
Pope?
John Paul II. It was 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a source told the Sun on Sunday, pictures like this show how powerful Epstein's connections were and his ability to open up any doors. He managed to manipulate his way into royal palaces, the White House, and the Vatican, all with Ghislaine Maxwell by his side. You'll notice in the photo, Ghislaine Maxwell is right next to him, and the Pope is kind of, putting his hand out to give the blessing. By the way, credit the Sun for the scoop and also the headline of the Pope, the pedo, and the pimp.
That's not a good selling children's book.
No, but that's a hell of it. That's
Buy the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe first.
the tri-alliteration is in media, Frank. You know this. Like 2 gold stars.
That's true.
Like radio, magazines, newspaper, all traditional media love some alliteration.
Yeah, and yeah, the triple shot too is the way to do it.
Yeah.
3 in a row.
Oh,
but
forget it.
The Pope blesses, I'm sure, whoever he comes in contact with, right? I mean, he's blessing people probably more than he's, as often as he's breathing. So,
flight logs, which chart the journey of the Lolita Express, chart this flight from May 20th of. Let me see, what year was this? Believed to have been in 2003. So May 20th of 2003. Jean-Luc Brunel, by the way, another widely known alleged piece of shit, was also on the flight log. Pilot Pete Rathgeb and 2 passengers logged as AM and JK.
AM and JK.
Yeah. There's no record of Epstein arriving in Rome, though logs put him in New York on May 12th and again on May 21st. The papal snap is the latest to show Epstein rubbing shoulders with powerful world figures.
Yeah, the guy made the rounds. He was in front of next to a lot of heavy hitters, a lot of big shots.
I don't know what this proves other than it's just, Epstein peacocking, around. But I'm sure conspiracy theories are going to be lighting up the boards right now with, the pedophile church and the fucking pedophile pimp monster.
Yeah, they're going to see this one shot of the Pope blessing them and go, oh, they were best friends.
Yeah.
That's it. Had them over every week for dinner.
It ain't a good look, but I don't know.
No, I mean,
I don't know if these two were close confidants. Not that I need to defend anybody. I'm just saying.
No, but
I mean, I got plenty of issues with the Catholic Church and Pope John Paul II. I could fucking go on about that all goddamn day. By the way, there's an insane. I don't even know if it's still on HBO. The thing that really turned me. There was this documentary, and it was about a bunch of people that were, molested by priests, and there's this one part of this fucking deaf home, and this fucking priest ran through this thing like a fucking supermarket sweep, and just preyed on these deaf kids because they fucking could not commute. Like, you're talking about back in the 40s and 50s, you had a deaf child born. It wasn't like mom and dad were immediately, most of the time, and they were poor. They would go bring a kid like that to the church and a home or whatever that they would be. And this fucking guy just fucking, just targeted it was, and they fucking protected him. They moved him. They fucking moved this guy around. So I got plenty. So I'm not defending the church, whatever. I forget what the name of that documentary is, but it's on HBO. I know that, or it was at least. Anyway, it's fucking chilling if you watch it. But I just don't. I know conspiracy theories are gonna go nuts over this. I don't see a thing other than fucking this guy could literally open up any door.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's just he was an influential guy with a ton of money.
Yeah,
that's that opens doors in most cases.
Yeah, and it could be some weird association, corrupt. It could be. It could be
Could be.
something that he
Not saying
knew,
it isn't.
and not saying it isn't. My gut feeling is he probably threw down like $1 million to whatever the fuck donation to the church, and that's what got him into some private dinner where these photos were snapped and some bullshit like that. That's
Could be.
that to me is a more likely outcome with that.
Right.
Prince Andrew is the Prince Andrew accusations are going to be excluded from the Ghislaine Maxwell trial.
Why?
Prosecutors chose not to bring charges in connection with Guiffre into this.
But if she had anything to do with anything that went on with him, why they can't bring it up?
They also say that they're not going to call Guiffre as a witness.
Oh.
Which I find particularly interesting. Now I know the only thing I can think of is there is an agreement between the two of them. So similar to like the way Cosby, they used the previous deposition in his case, and that was a technicality that got it thrown out. That's the only thing I could think of why they would keep Roberts and this other guy out of all of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they got enough without it. And we could only hope. I'm sure they do. I mean,
prosecutors say they're going to focus instead on 4 other women they say were recruited by Maxwell as teenagers. Bypassing Guiffre's allegations about Andrew will keep the most explosive allegations against Maxwell out of the trial, but will also allow prosecutors to avoid a big risk. Records, witnesses, and photos back up many parts of Guiffre's accounts of her time with Epstein. But Guiffre has acknowledged getting key details wrong in her story over the years, including initially falsely saying in a lawsuit that she had been 15 when the abuse began. So I guess there's a bunch of holes in Guiffre's story, and that's why they don't want to go near it. But I also think that there's that agreement too.
Yeah, boy, if she gets away with all this, this is really gonna suck.
This is gonna suck. Hardcore going to suck. This is this is like an ongoing story, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on it, Frank. I don't know. Thomas Jefferson, there was a statue of Thomas Jefferson, almost 1,000 pounds, which resided in City Hall here in New York City for 2 centuries. It was crated up today and moved out of City Hall because he owned slaves. A dozen workers with Marshall Fine Arts spent several hours carefully removing the painted plaster monument from its pedestal in the city council chambers and surrounding it with sections of foam and wooden boards. They lowered the massive structure down the stairs, took it out of the building. The 1833 statue will be on a long-term loan to the New York Historical Society, which plans to have Jefferson's model survive in its lobby and reading room.
I mean, it's not. I don't know. It's a tough one because, back then, that was a common. It was a terrible, terrible thing that they all did, but it was very common, right? I mean,
yes, it was how everybody did.
Everybody had that was the thing, and it's awful. It doesn't make it any better. So it's not my call. It's one of those things that how does the African American community feel about this, and that's who should be asked.
Well, So, there's 1,000 articles on this today. I'll just read you a couple of the notes that I took from what people are saying. Erin Thompson, a professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, who authored the forthcoming book, Smashing Statues, The Rise and Fall of America's Public Monuments, said removing a monument without a public conversation about why it's happening is useless. New Yorkers all need to talk about who we want to honor and why. Moving this statue doesn't mean New Yorkers will forget who Thomas Jefferson was, but some of them might learn from the controversy that the man who wrote all men are created equal, owned over 600 of his fellow humans.
That's a good point.
Members of the city council were split. Minority Leader Joe Borelli from Staten Island, a Republican, called the move an attempt to sideline history, while
I hate that. I hate that term.
Black, Latino, and Asian caucus co-chair Danique Miller of Queens said he wanted the statue gone because it doesn't represent contemporary values.
That's true. It's a good point. I mean,
just,
that whole delete. Nobody wants to erase history. That's not the point of any of this. Nobody's like, oh, we don't want to think about it. No, it's because it's being, if a statue of someone that owned my family a couple hundred years ago was down the block from me, and I had to pass it all the time and look at it, and this guy owned it would probably weigh on me a little bit. No, I mean, that would be hard to get over, and unless you're in that position, you don't know how it is to walk past statues like that all the time. I don't, I can't speak on that, but
listen, I understand that. I totally understand that, and I think that that's a justified way of acting. On the other hand, I do also feel like history is history, and it's in the past.
Taking the statue down is not deleting history.
It's not, but no matter how many statues you have, this guy was who he was. The rest of the family, they all were. I feel like I think the only founding father that did not own a slave, and I could be wrong about this because there could be more than one, but John Adams did not own a slave.
That's possible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know if you could look that up, but I know he didn't own one. And, if you look back at, there's that great, boy, I'm pumping HBO up here like crazy, and I'm not putting a dime in my pocket, but there's that great HBO series about John Adams, which TV is bullshit most of the time, but that series was taken from a book, which was basically adapted from letters that John wrote his wife, Abigail. And that's where a lot of that historical information came from, is their correspondence with each other. And in that, they discuss, it's interesting, they discuss when Adams was basically the one who handpicked Jefferson to write the Constitution. He wrote it, a lot of it, the ideas came from France and what was happening over there, which would eventually erupt and become an issue right after America was established. But this, all men are created equal. There supposedly was a debate on whether or not to write that and how they would perceive that. And what I find interesting is all the principals in that room basically believed that. What they were afraid of was that they couldn't get something like that across at the time. You know what I mean? Because so many people owned slaves.
Yeah, and it's hard because, you can't expect people 300 years ago to think the way people do now.
Yeah. And I bring it up because I feel like their intentions were good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I understand. I'm saying that, fully acknowledging that Jefferson was a slave owner. I get it. But I think their intentions were, as they're sitting there deciding what they want to build as a country, owning people, I don't think was part of their vision.
Right. Half of the people that signed the Declaration of Independence, like a little over half, owned slaves. And
okay,
John
so that's
Adams didn't.
Less than I thought it was.
I think it's like 25 didn't own slaves out of the 55.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not, I get it. Anybody comes in here and is like, this is bullshit, that should be, I understand. But at the same time, I also understand that this is our history, and no matter how many statues we remove, it's not going to change what happened back at that time.
No, I get it. I'm all for, like,
terrible. I say this with Columbus all the time. Terrible people did great things. it's just what it is. It is what it is. Like there's no great person out there that was completely
No,
without
I
flaw.
get it, but if you have a terrible person that did something great, but he was a terrible person, so we put a statue up about it, with him, of him.
I don't know.
What I think statues. That's a
I mean,
special. It's a special thing to have a
this,
statue of you.
yeah. Oh, and by the way, I want to say this because because I found this interesting as we discovered as this has become an issue over the last few years. it- there's horrific racist groups. I forget what they're called, the Sons and whatever. I don't know, Daughters of the Revolution, America. I don't know. I forget what the name of the group is. But there was a. This is historical. This is not political jargon. It was a group that after the Civil War, they went out, they rushed out and put up statues all over the place.
Yeah,
Like if as they're removing some of these, if you look at them, some of them crumble and come down very fast because they're cheap and poorly made. Those deserve to come down.
yeah. The losers of a racist war, yeah, they go. They go.
And if they were put up with bad intentions of like, okay, we lost, but we're gonna keep these people, like you said, in a position of prominence over the city to kind of like keep casting the shadow of who's really in charge,
Yeah, that's
those
fucked
can
up.
go. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I totally understand that. And as shitty as it was for Thomas Jefferson to own slaves, I can't help but think he's also the person that wrote that line, all men are created equal. And although it didn't carry the proper weight it should have at the time that he wrote it, when, at the time when Lincoln comes along and starts fighting, that's his, war cry. That's his battle cry. And that's
Mhm.
what he uses to get his point across. And
Yeah,
so on and so forth, up to Martin Luther King to, Barack Obama. Like you look at every step of the way, they're all basing their belief system off of those
yeah.
simple few words, all men are created equal. And this dude wrote it.
No, I know it. He did a great, great thing. It's not. Again, it's not for me to decide. It's not for you or I to decide
Yeah.
about something like that. It's for the community as a whole, the African American community. If they say, you know what, he founded this country, and this is overall a great man. Yeah, he had slaves, that which is fucked up. And they want to leave the statue. Let the statue stay. But if they say, you know what, the statue, yeah, he did say he did a great thing. He founded the country, but he also did some. He had a couple hundreds of slaves, and he
Yeah.
treated people like less than human. That's also a huge, mark stain on his legacy. So a statue
You have to admit though, it's
is
interesting
just a
what I'm saying
statue.
about
People got to
about the
get over it.
about the yeah, but it's interesting what I'm saying about the fact that his what he wrote
Yeah. No, and he
is
wrote some great, the
is
fucking
is what
Declaration of Independence.
yeah, it's what we're striving towards. It's what it's you could make the argument. It's his statement,
Yeah.
Adams's request to keep it in there, right?
Yeah.
All that shit that basically helped us get to a point of acceptance right now.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the other thing that gets overlooked a lot of the time. Men were pretty shitty to women for a large majority of history, up till and include. I mean, recent. It's probably still today. It still happens. I know, but
Yeah.
I mean, for the longest time, so you look at every person who came up with anything, and you could be like, well, he was shitty to his wife.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in order for someone to have a statue in a prominent place, do they have to be, you know, what standard do they have to be held against? Do they have to be as close to perfect as you can get? If they fuck up for a long time, it's not like he got, he accidentally did something stupid, but he owned people for
Yeah.
hundreds of people, right? 600 people, whatever you said.
Well, that's what this said here. 600
I mean,
people.
that's nothing that's
Nothing to
not like
sneeze at.
that's not a small thing. That's big, that's a big thing. I don't know. I mean, he is third president. I mean, yeah, we should have a statue of our presidents, maybe. Do we need statues of everybody? What's with the statues? Why do we need statues of everybody? I don't know. Why is everybody all bent out of shape over a statue? Maybe put. I don't know. I mean, like over it coming down. It's just a statue. If it goes down, it goes down. Is it going to change your life if it's not there anymore? Probably not.
No, it's not. It's not. And I don't love the slippery slope argument, but I do. You do kind of look at all this and go, well, then, you know, Washington owned slaves. Do we change
Yeah, I don't know.
the name of Washington D.C.? Do we take him off the dollar bill? And not to, it's just a weird. It's a weird thing. I think it's a bit exhausting too. You just got to kind of throw your hands up and go, there was, again, great people did shitty things, or vice versa. Some shitty people did, maybe one or two great things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it kind of is what it is.
I know it's tough. Maybe I don't know. We're not the people who are going to solve this, but
No,
maybe
I feel like if we
statue.
keep working on it, though, we might.
Oh, okay. maybe we put up more statues honoring people, slaves. Maybe we put up statues that honored the people who were oppressed.
I have no problem with that.
Instead, I don't know. Maybe it's instead of taking down, we add. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is.
I just find
idea. I don't know. I'm sure there's flaws in it.
I find this one particularly interesting because, again, he wrote the words, and I get everybody had their say in it. And
believe me, he framed the country for the most.
Wasn't he also married to one of his slaves or a couple of them, or he might have abused them though? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think he may have had children with.
Yeah.
With some of them, one of them. I don't know.
He might have been not so nice after I started.
Who knows? I don't know that much about that stuff. So again, if it's something like that, if he was an abusive bastard, but yeah, he wrote great stuff, and is a statue gonna, if you're a big Thomas Jefferson stan, a statue comes down, it's a statue,
Yeah, but I also, and again, I feel like this is the country those guys were envisioning. And again, we're not perfect right now, but we're certainly better now than we were even 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago.
Sure.
But I feel like this is what they were envisioning. And I don't think any of those guys were necessarily, I can't speak for all of them. I'm sure some of them, especially some of the Southerners, envisioned slavery just always being a thing. But I don't think guys like John Adams envisioned, I think this is what he was picturing.
I don't know. I can't. I don't know how they felt. I mean, they owned slaves, so they had to be somewhat okay with it.
Well, not John Adams.
Not John Adams. I'm talking about half of them.
Right.
Washington, Jefferson.
But I think a lot of them. I mean, and you can call me naive if you want. I feel like somebody's going to, but I feel like a lot of them
do your research.
Looked at this like, we can't get this, like we won't, if we, like, even when you look at slavery and the elimination of it, right? What was it? The 13th Amendment that got rid of it? Even when you look at that, like at the time, people who were fighting for equality, had to say things like, I don't believe in equality. I believe in equality under law, not in equality. So even the people that were trying to free the slaves, they couldn't admit that they thought that black and white people were equal in life. They had to say shit like, "Oh, I just feel like we're equal under the eyes of the law." You know what I'm saying? So like, there's concessions. They had to say shitty stuff just to make
That's
that
true.
progress.
When you're playing politics, you have to compromise in order just to get stuff pushed through.
Right. But if you look at the history, like I feel like if we're in a simulation, if we're in the Matrix and you play this over again, I feel like the result is always going to be the same, where we don't have slavery.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I think this is always the way it was supposed to be, and it always continues to move on and evolve.
I agree. I mean, it's
a tough thing. It's not
tough because they did great things, but they also did shitty things. So it's if you put the statue up, how about you put a statue up honoring the good things, and then you put a shitty statue up next to it, saying, "Oh yeah, plus he did all this shitty stuff."
Yeah. Well,
Put a little note next to it. Oh, by the way, yeah, honor him for the great stuff, but then oh, look at this, he did some shitty stuff too.
I mean, the other part of it too is these were a group of people that did a great thing, you
Yeah.
know, and it's not just for Americans. I mean, if you look at the idea of democracy, it fucking spread pretty far and wide and ended the oppression of a lot of people in a lot of different places.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that is an accomplishment.
Listen, they started a brand new country. It's they won a war over it, and then but
And then France, and then and then all these places adopting democracy because
I know.
of these fucking guys in this room at these 13 places just talking shit.
Not saying they didn't do some monumental shit.
I mean,
but they also did some monumental bullshit too.
Michael Cohen says that he does not believe that Trump will seek another term in office.
Thank God. I mean, oh.
I'm not buying. First of all, Michael Cohen is,
and I think simply because he says he won't run, now he'll run. Well, I'm only running because Michael Cohen said I wouldn't run.
I think his take is interesting, and maybe I'm only finding it interesting because I didn't think of it. Because in my mind, that fucker's running, and he can win. I think he can win.
He's got a good shot.
I think he could win, even though I think he's waning on people. Even though I think he's damaged himself by not showing up at the inauguration and the January 6th thing.
Nobody's going to remember any of that.
Keeping this fucking facade that the election was stolen, I think is such a mistake. Politically,
he's a huge baby. I mean, why would you want a baby running the country?
And I know people are going to be like, Ant, you're wrong. But here's why I say that. Because the people that love this guy are the ones who think the election was stolen. He could murder their parents. It wouldn't matter. They're going to be with him anyway. So drop that bullshit and get the people back in the middle on your side. And now you're a serious threat. So that's why I say that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
But Cohen said this. He says that Trump's ego is so fragile, he would not be able to withstand being a two-time loser.
He already was. He was impeached twice.
Nah, but that thought
there's a political hit job against me.
That thought never occurred to me because I feel like if he runs again, probably has a really good chance of winning. I mean, we're what, a year into Biden? Is it a year?
Almost.
So Biden's got 3 more years. Let's see what happens. Well, I mean, really, he's got another year and a half before, if Trump is going to run, that starts up again. Right. So let's see what he does in the next year and a half, 2 years, what happens. I feel like the infrastructure deal is actually a positive thing.
Huge. Absolutely.
I think most people will, even rights and lefts, and there's going to be rhetoric, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of investment in infrastructure, which everybody agreed that we needed. If Biden could do something about healthcare, I mean, then he's really making a fucking play for it.
Healthcare, he's going to lower the gas prices because he's releasing our, oil reserves.
That's a smart move. Even saying you're going to release the reserves drops the fucking gas prices down. So it's about time he says that.
He's not fucking around.
I mean, I'd have liked it if that kicked in around 268 instead of fucking 359, but okay.
I was driving anywhere anyway.
But anyway, my point was, I always just kind of assumed he would run again, and I felt like he would fucking win, because the other thing too with this is, forget right and left. Usually the side that just lost will turn out in bigger numbers the next time around.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So this idea though that he couldn't handle, like, I wonder if he's thinking that at all. Like, I can't possibly. I losing twice would be too much. Going out on this cloud of the election was stolen is easier for the ego than him actually having to face the music of losing twice.
Yeah, that would be, I don't know if he'll handle that. But he'll also say, see, it's not even that. He'll say, oh, I was rigged again. I was stolen. They don't want me to, it'll be another. The only way he was able to handle losing the first time is by saying it was fixed. He was preparing for it in 2016. He kept saying it was rigged, 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 rigged. Then he won, and it wasn't rigged anymore. Then 2020,
Yeah.
rigged, 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 rigged. He lost, rigged. It's all a big scam. Get the fuck out of here, will you?
I wonder. I think it's going to take a monumental, I think the infrastructure bill is great, but I think it's going to take a monumental win for all Americans, which is not really much of an opportunity to do that with much outside of taxes and health care.
He hasn't raised our taxes.
No, but I think if Biden does that, he has a shot. Also, not dying would help.
Hey, listen, Trump's going to be 80 if he runs again.
Yeah. And the thing is and here's what I find interesting about it too. He's alluded a lot to the fact that he's going to run again, but he hasn't said it. He hasn't really committed to it.
And I don't think he would at this point, at this stage of the game. He's not going to do it because he's going to keep, you know why? Because once he does, the story isn't really there anymore. I think he's just going to keep kind of, reeling in the debate a little bit until it's time.
I also wonder too if he views it as a thing of he doesn't have to run again as long as he appoints the person who is. If he gets behind one of the Trump Republicans and says this is the guy, he's going to take us there. He's got my full endorsement or whatever, and that person wins. That's just as much of a win for him. You know what I'm saying? As anything else. So I wonder if that's his motivation. I don't know. But Cohen brought up a point which I had never thought of before, which is what if he does lose? I kind of thought if he runs again, he's going to win. That's kind of what I felt like.
Not necessarily.
Barring Biden doing something else magnificent, which, let's be honest, track record for all these presidents last 30, 40 or so. Not great with doing something magnificent. You know what I mean? So I kind of just felt like we would just snap back in the other direction, but I don't know. We'll see. A couple of Fox News contributors are leaving Fox News because of that Tucker Carlson January 6th special that you mentioned last episode, Frankie C.
Good for them. Growing a little backbone.
Yeah.
Saying, fuck this place now.
Stephen Hayes and Jonah Goldberg told NPR that the series aired conspiracy theories and fabricated claims that could lead to violence.
Yeah.
In an article in the Dispatch.
Good that they left.
The two contributors warned that irresponsible voices have come to dominate opinion and analysis on Fox News. We all know that's true. I've been talking about this for the longest time. I also think it's going to get worse because if you look at the numbers, Fox and CNN and MSNBC and Newsmax now and OAN and all these places, they're all going to chip at each other. They're all going to claim this or that. They're all going to talk about all kinds of shit. But the fact of the matter is that overall, cable news numbers are down. People are bailing on these places for the internet, whether it's podcasts like this, people's blogs, just fucking rhetoric anywhere. People are leaving these places at large scale numbers, and they have to get shittier in their tact than they ever have before in order just to maintain an audience to begin with. If Tucker doesn't air something batshit crazy like that,
yeah, that's true.
He's afraid. You know this. He's afraid he's going to lose his audience.
Yeah, and he's not afraid to bullshit in order to win an argument. That's
especially him.
He'll lie in order to win an argument. Those are his own words.
Grammy Noms announced today. Frankie C. Cardi
Are we
B.
up for anything?
We're not. Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, her, Ariana Grande, Selena Gomez, Justin Bieber, Olivia Rodrigo, Billie Eilish, the Foo Fighters, Kanye West, and Barack Obama, who will no doubt win because everybody loves Barack Obama, especially in Hollywood. Yep. He's nominated for his audiobook. Who's gonna be fucking Who's gonna? What audiobook, Frank? What audiobook are they gonna be like? You know what? That Obama one was good, but this one was. Yeah, this is not happening.
Was it read by Barack Obama?
Unless it was another book read by Barack Obama.
Unless it wasn't read by him.
But I bring this up, and this is very egocentric of me. Outside of the Foo Fighters and Kanye West, this is just a whole new class of musicians. These are
Yeah, these are all new people for the most part.
gone are
Unless
the days of Nirvana, Metallica, Smashing Pumpkins,
well, when
and
Metallica
forget
comes,
Stones, Beatles,
uh,
Dylan. Forget. I mean, they're so far removed now.
well, the Grammys, it's all current. It's this year's past. It's not like they're not
Yeah.
going overall. It's this current year's most popular stuff.
By the way, first time in 30 years, the finalists were determined solely by votes from the Academy's thousands of members and not filtered through anonymous committees. Why they were is beyond. It's like
That doesn't make
it's
any sense.
because it's the old gateway system, and the internet's been again another thing the internet has been chipping away at. You used to have to find an A&R person, get a record deal, do this and that. They had all these gatekeepers in place to decide who gets what. Now people just put their shit on Spotify and they break through, and they don't fucking need those old timers keeping their finger on the pulse. Because that, by the way, this is another thing to do. Like, oh, we can get this one nominated. Let's nominate this one. It'll be more sales for us here. It'll be more sales for us
Ugh.
there. It was all a business and a pile of bullshit.
The Grammys, big pile of bullshit.
Yeah.
Until we win one, then it's great.
The 64th annual Grammys coming up January 31st, 2022 at the Crypto.com Arena, formerly the
boy.
Staples Arena in Los Angeles.
Crypto.com. I want to see the Grammys take place in the the metaverse?
The metaverse, yeah. That's where it's going.
That'll be fun.
That's where it's going.
So what happened with Dollar Tree?
Funny headline. Dollar. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure it's not. Yeah, Dollar Tree. This is the headline. Dollar Tree will soon be known as the $1.25 tree. The company announced today one of America's last remaining true dollar stores said it will raise its prices from $1 to $1.25 on a majority of its products in the first quarter of 2022.
Not as catchy a name. I got to be honest.
$1.25 tree.
Yeah, I call it $1.25.
Oh, that's nice.
$1.25.
That's
I'm going
pretty
$1.25.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
$1.25 tree.
Yeah, I mean, most of the things in these dollar stores aren't even a dollar. By the way, these are the saddest. When I was a kid, used to love going to a dollar store because you get like 47 different things. You break them. Who cared? You played.
Right.
It's kind of fun. I took my kids to a dollar store over the summer because we had 15 minutes to kill while we were waiting for a table at a restaurant. It was depressing.
Half the shelves are like messed up, and
Yeah.
it's all like paper plates and shit and cleaning supplies. It's like,
Yeah, it was just
not much for kids anymore.
No, it was just kind of sad. This will be the last show that we do before Thanksgiving, so we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, very happy Thanksgiving to all.
Best part about Thanksgiving for you, Frank?
Best part, cranberry sauce that's shaped like a can.
Is that right?
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I like that. Getting together with everybody, it's nice. It's fun. You're just sitting around shooting the shit. Maybe you play a game or something. That's fun. I like seeing everybody.
I'm a sides guy. I fucking love the sides at Thanksgiving.
Sides are great.
The best.
I got to tell you though, a couple of years ago, it was the first time, like when I tried the turkey, I always have to try the turkey, but first time when I tried it, I was like, this is fucking delicious. Like everything, whenever I have it, I'm like, oh, it's good. It's good. Turkey tastes like turkey. This time, last time we had it, it was like the flavor. It had all this, and I asked my aunt who made it, and I was like, what did you do to this? She's like, well, I'll put all these herbs and just lemon and this and butter. And she made this like brine, and it was like amazing.
Brine. Yeah, brine.
I was like, this is unbelievable. And I was like, I want more turkey, please.
Yeah, best turkey I ever had. We brined it, and then we fucking fried it. But you got to really dry it off.
Oh, yeah. Dry it off and make sure it's not the least bit frozen.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It has to be completely thawed out.
Yes. Well, it was in our particular case. But
you drop ice into boiling oil, kaboom.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Best pie? What's your go-to pie? Pecan, apple, pumpkin?
Pumpkin.
What? Yeah.
I love me some pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
Whenever I go anywhere that has key lime, I like key lime, but it's rare in the house, like at a get together to have key lime pie. So pumpkin is definitely.
Well, key lime's. I'm surprised you said that because I've been dealing with a harsh key lime pie craving lately, and it's hard to get this time of year here.
Key lime pie. You got to go to like a homemade pie stand or something like that.
Yeah.
I rarely see store bought key lime pie. I don't see it on the shelves anywhere.
Yeah. I went with frozen key lime pie. Got me through COVID. That's what got me through COVID.
Is that all right?
Yeah, it was.
All right.
Look, it was what it was. You know, we were surviving. You know, that was it was
The harsh times when we had to have frozen key lime pie.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you guys for being with us all year. As most of all, we're thankful for you guys who watch and listen, who share.
Very thankful for all our fans, even the ones, who disagree with us.
Who shit all over you.
I put it nicely because it's the holidays. Anybody who disagrees, it's fine. You're allowed to disagree with. We're allowed to disagree with each other. I'm just thankful that you make us you tune in. That you're part of. You guys are part of the whole thing.
Special shout out to our moderators on YouTube who always do a great job all the time. That whole crew there. Moderators on the Where's Anthony Facebook group. Thank you to you especially.
Thank you, Jumpstart.
Thank you to Jumpstart Coffee Company. 15% off. Use that promo code AOA15 when you click the link in the description of this episode or the banner on the homepage of AnthonyAndOnAir.com. AOA15. Save 15%. Great coffee, great cause.
Indeed.
I'll tell you, a cup of that medium roast is going to be great after you have all that fucking turkey and carbs.
I'm telling you, I'm leaning towards the dark blend, dark roast. It's got that chocolate in there. That's nice with a little pumpkin pie.
Take that 15-minute snooze, then get up and have some pie.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Here we go, baby.
Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll catch you guys on the next.